In this episode, I am going to share with you some of the basic etiquette rules, and this is applicable in almost any kind of setting. First and foremost, what is etiquette? In the simplest term ever, etiquette is the acceptable code of conduct in any social or professional setting. I am Faustin Love, and this is Faustin Love TV. If you haven't subscribed, this will be a perfect time for you to subscribe, especially if you're the kind of person that aims to level up her life. The first point, basic etiquette rules. Always RSVP. This directly translates to respond if you please. I think this is basic manners, it is basic etiquette. Whenever you are invited anywhere, always ensure that you make your guests know whether you will attend the event that you have been hosted to or you will not be able to attend. And always RSVP at the earliest possible. Always confirm your attendance for an event. The second point, whenever you are in the public vicinity, do not brush your hair as well as retouch your makeup nor replenish your lipstick. This is especially common whenever you see someone is brunching, dining, or even at a lunch date. Always ensure that you're replenishing your makeup in the ladies' room, or you're brushing your hair as well as replenishing your powder, that is your makeup, your lipstick, in the ladies' room. So what you can do, you can just excuse yourself. You'll just say, excuse me, I will have to leave shortly. You don't have to mention that I am going to the ladies' room. So the right place to replenish your makeup and to brush your hair is either in the ladies' room, or if there's a place set aside for the women to change their outfits and replenish their makeup items and all that, that is the perfect place to do that. The third basic etiquette rule: do not place your cell phone, purse, bag, hat, coat, or scarf on top of the table. This is also quite common. I've seen it personally countless times. If you have an extra seat, let's say you're out in a restaurant, if you have an extra seat, please place your bag on the extra seat, your coat, your scarf, or any other extra stuff that you've carried on the extra seat. Alternatively, you can place your bag or just behind your seat, and then you can sit upon placing your bag or extra item just behind your seat. In some restaurants, they have cloak rooms. You can place your coats and even the scarf on the cloak room. And your cell phone, kindly please ensure that you put your cell phone inside your bag always. The next point that I had listed down: always use the words please, thank you, and sorry. You'll be surprised that not so many people have the common sense to use these words. Like, it's quite sad. You'll meet people on a regular basis who hardly use the terminologies thank you, sorry, and please. If you want to excuse yourself, maybe you're in a crowded places, you're lined up in a crowd and maybe you want to find your way through the crowd, kindly use the term, "Excuse me, may I?" Please pass. And whenever you've wronged someone and you've noticed that you are on the wrong side, just use the word sorry. Acknowledge your wrong, acknowledge your wrongdoing, and just use the word sorry. The other term, whenever someone does something nice for you, whenever you receive some positive gestures from someone, it is basic etiquette to say the term "thank you." The next point that I had noted down: when you are in the company of someone or engaged in an important conversation with one, put your cell phone aside. This is another very common mistake in this modern era, especially. So it's like almost the aspect of human touch is no longer there. You find people in a dining setting, in a dining table, people are dining together, but everyone apparently is on their mobile phone or on their cell phone or on their iPhone for that matter. So as an elegant person, and even just for the sake of etiquette or for the sake of good manners, basic acceptable social good manners, always put your cell phone aside. When you are on a date with someone, kindly put your cell phone aside, as it is not pleasant manners to be on your phone when you are on a date with someone, or when you are engaging in a conversation with someone, or even at the very least when you are on a dining setting with others. On to the next point. Respect people's personal space. Do not stand too close to people. Personally, I really adore and respect my personal space, and I wouldn't want someone to stand very close to me. I mean, this is something that you'd expect to be common sense, but apparently it's not. Always give people their personal space. Don't stand in closest proximity to someone, and it doesn't matter in which kind of setting. This is applicable in all kind of settings. The next point that I had stated: always have the basic table manners. What are some of these basic table manners? Put your elbows off the table during meal hours or while you're eating your food. Do not talk while consuming food. Do not talk while you're consuming food. The other basic table manners: use of the right cutleries and crockeries. Learn how to use the right crockeries and the right cutleries. Know which kind of cutleries are acceptable, as well as which kind of crockeries are acceptable for whatever kind of food that you are consuming. The other basic table manners: do not eat hastily and greedily. This is absolutely inappropriate manners, and it is one of the basic etiquette rules that people tend to ignore. So do not eat hastily or greedily. This doesn't always come across as pleasant. So perhaps you have your end of year party, or even first of all, you're supposed to dine together before going to the party, and remember to eat at a very slow pace and at a very appropriate and acceptable pace. Do not eat hastily and greedily. So that is just to generalize the basic table manners. The next basic etiquette rule is punctuality. Punctuality. Always respect people's time. If you have been invited by your host, always ensure that you keep the time. I do not suggest that you should arrive at the place where you've been hosted very early, because that again may bring off a sense of desperation. So just ensure that you've arrived on time and don't keep your host waiting for too long. Punctuality is very important. If you are running late, learn to communicate as soon as possible, because sometimes you may encounter circumstances which are unavoidable. For instance, traffic. What else? Maybe if you are a parent, your kid suddenly fell sick and you had to invite a doctor or take your kid to the hospital first prior to attending to your place where you have been hosted. So in such a scenario, in case of an emergency, ensure that you communicate as early, as soon as possible. Just inform your host that you are going to run late due to unavoidable circumstances. The next point which I had listed down, tipping your service providers, and especially if the service was excellent, especially if the service was way beyond your expectation. It's good manners, it's basic etiquette rules to always tip your service providers. I know in some countries, for instance in the US, it's always imperative whenever you go to the restaurant or whenever you go to those hotels. It's always imperative for you to tip the service providers. In other countries, it's always coming from a point of someone's own will. So I would advise you, as an elegant person, as a person who has good manners, to always at least tip your service providers something little, because at the end of the day, in as much as they are getting their salaries and all that, the cost of living is there's a global economic crisis, as we all know, and the cost of living is high. Inflation is like on another level. And the service providers, the kind of salary that they get, it's not like it's a lot. So it's basic etiquette rule to always tip your service providers. The next point which I had listed down, use of the word excuse me. This is relatively similar to one of the points that I had stated. Actually, the point that I had stated earlier was about saying thank you, sorry, and please. And now, this point, it's about using the word excuse me. And this is especially common when maybe you are in a rush and you want to find your way through a crowd. Always excuse yourself. The polite terminology that you can use, you can tell someone, for instance, excuse me, I'm running late. Could you please give me way? And I don't think someone will find it difficult to just give you way in such a scenario. The next point which I had listed down, greet people, especially when you walk into a place and find others there. Let me give you a relatable scenario. For example, if you walk into a lift and you find people there, you are actually the one who's supposed to greet them first. You are the one who's supposed to greet them first. So you can just say a quick hello, how you guys, how's your afternoon? If it's during the afternoon, how's your afternoon? And full stop. You don't have to engage in a lengthy conversation with them. So whenever you find people first somewhere, for example, when you are another good example, when you are reporting to a hotel and you're just about to check in, just greet your receptionist. Hi, how you doing? How is work going? And then you can proceed with your check-in activities. The same thing is applicable during checkout and absolutely in other many types of settings. So always greet people, and especially when you arrive at the place where people are, when they are already there. Last but not least, when answering a phone call and you are in a company of people, always remember to excuse yourself and answer the phone as on the other end where people are not gathered there. So for instance, when you are dining in a dining setting, do not just answer your phone there when your phone rings. It's good manners to excuse yourself and then stand somewhere slightly different, because nobody wants to know. People are not interested in hearing what is going on in your life, like, and even for the sake of confidentiality and privacy and discretion, it's important to just excuse yourself when answering a phone and engage in the conversation slightly far away from the place where people are. Actually, these points were a lot, and I'm going to have to divide this video into two. It's almost like 23 points, so I'll do the first half and then the second half in the other video. So the last point for this video, this is part 1. Always bid your host goodbye. Whenever you've been hosted somewhere, don't leave without bidding your host goodbye. I think it will be very, very rude to just leave your host without bidding them goodbye, without bidding them, him or her, goodbye. Thank you so much for staying in tune and watching my video. I hope you've learned a few, and please stay in tune for my next episode, where I will give you other basic etiquette rules. I will share with you other basic etiquette rules. So I am Faustin Love, and this is Faustin Love TV, and in this episode you are learning about the basic etiquette rules, part 1. Stay in tune for my next episode and watch out for part 2. Be blessed.